A wealthy businessman boards a first-class flight, confident, proud, and full of himself. When he sees a shabby-looking man sitting next to him, he scoffs. Little does he know, that man is Hollywood legend Keanu Reeves. But what happens next turns into a moment the entire flight crew, and millions online, would never forget. Because when the truth comes out, the man doesn't just regret his words, he's publicly humbled in a way only Keanu could deliver. Not for justice, but for survival. What happened next will leave you speechless. Don't miss this powerful story. Watch until the end. And if it moved you, subscribe and drop a comment below, telling us, where in the world are you watching from? It was a typical sunny afternoon at LAX. Among the crowd boarding a flight to New York was Mr. Harris, a senior corporate executive known for his arrogance. He strutted through the terminal, designer bag in one hand, phone in the other, barking orders to his assistant. As he boarded first class, he glanced at his seat and paused. A quiet man wearing a worn leather jacket and carrying a backpack was already seated beside him. With a scoff, Mr. Harris muttered, "Figures they'll let anyone fly first class these days." The man just nodded, offered a polite smile, and went back to reading his book, a philosophy book titled Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Unimpressed, Mr. Harris rolled his eyes and took his seat. Tension in the air. As the flight took off, Harris grew louder, bragging about his recent stock trades, luxury cars, and upcoming meetings. He called the flight attendant over, loudly requesting champagne that doesn't taste like peasant juice. Then, he leaned toward the man next to him. "So, what do you do? You don't look like you belong here." The man smiled politely and said, "I'm just an actor." Harris smirked. "An actor? Oh, struggling, huh? I guess first class is giving out charity now." The nearby passengers started to shift uncomfortably. But the man didn't react. He just sipped his water and looked out the window. One passenger, a young woman across the aisle, seemed to recognize the man and stared at him, trying to confirm her suspicion. The recognition. The woman across the aisle couldn't take it anymore. She leaned over and asked gently, "Excuse me, are you Keanu Reeves?" The man looked slightly embarrassed but nodded. "Yeah, I am." Her eyes widened in excitement. "Oh my God, I love your movies. You're a legend." Now the entire section turned to look. Some began whispering, "Is that really Keanu Reeves?" Mr. Harris went pale. His smug smile disappeared. "Wait, what?" he asked, leaning forward. "You're that Keanu Reeves? The Matrix guy?" Keanu nodded politely. "Yeah, but I'm just trying to have a quiet flight." The energy in the cabin shifted instantly. People started murmuring about how humble and down-to-earth he was. Someone whispered how they once saw Keanu give up his subway seat. Another mentioned he secretly donates millions to children's hospitals. Suddenly, the man who was too shabby for first class was now the most respected person on the plane. And Mr. Harris? He was now just a loud fool who had publicly embarrassed himself. The apology. Feeling the pressure, Harris shifted uncomfortably. The power dynamic had flipped. "Listen, man. I didn't realize who you were. I just thought, well, I guess I judged too soon," he stammered. Keanu turned, still calm. "You judged exactly right," he said softly. "You thought I was beneath you because of how I looked. That's not about who I am, it's about who you are." The cabin went silent. Harris opened his mouth, then closed it. What could he say? He'd already shown everyone who he really was. Keanu, not one to hold grudges, nodded slowly and turned back to his book. The rest of the flight was awkward, for Harris. But for everyone else, it was a quiet masterclass in humility. Aftermath. What the internet saw. By the time the plane landed, the story had already hit social media. The young woman posted a photo with the caption, "Sat across from Keanu Reeves today. Humble, kind, and graceful, even when insulted. Legend." The tweet went viral. Soon media outlets picked it up. Keanu Reeves humiliates arrogant executive, silently. First-class manners. Keanu's calm response wins internet again. But Keanu didn't comment. He quietly exited the airport with his backpack, disappearing into the crowd like any regular person. Mr. Harris, on the other hand, tried to avoid the cameras. But it was too late. His face was blurred in viral posts, but his behavior wasn't. He learned a lesson that day, not just about Keanu Reeves, but about judging people based on appearances. Final message and moral words. Keanu Reeves has been called many things: actor, icon, legend. But those who've met him often use different words: humble, kind, gracious. This wasn't just a story about a rude passenger. It was a reminder that character isn't worn on your clothes or shouted in meetings. It's revealed in silence, in patience, and in grace. The man who insulted Keanu didn't regret it because of who Keanu was. He regretted it because of who he showed himself to be. So next time you're tempted to judge someone by their appearance, remember, the quietest one in the room may just be the one with the loudest impact.